From the news cottage of the Brush Communications Network, Brush FM 94.7 MHz, this is Brush News Watch. 45 minutes of accurate, balanced, and concise news forming about Liberia, Africa, and our one word. Today is Wednesday, July 7, 2021. Stories topping News Watch. President George Bani Weah dismisses Managing Director of the Liberia Airport Authority. Grand Bassa County, Superintendent Janje Bagway condemns recent violent action that erupted as a result of a motorcyclist being stabbed to death in Bucano City amid growing tension. Bond County F team reports 60 cases of COVID-19 with at least 15 recoveries. And thousands of opposition protesters have rallied in the capital Accra demanding justice for victims of recent killings. James Yagerson Fakwa fronted this morning, but first, the latest from the news center with Jeremiah Malva.
The sixth graduating class of the Nema County Community College has besieged the main campus of the college in Sonikore for what it calls the alleged failure of the university's administration to address several key demands by them. According to our rural broadcast chief, graduating class had earlier on putting forth several key demands, but the administration, headed by its president, Dr. Edward Lama Walking, has failed to address those demands. Among them are the reduction of fees from US 125 to US $76, reduction in the exchange rate of the university, the appointment of new board members, the increment in janitors and security salaries. The student said that the worker has appointed his wife as head of the security of the university. Currently, janitors and security at the university earn 70 United States dollars as monthly take-home salaries. Responding to some of the allegations that the worker admitted that the board of the university has overstayed, but efforts are being made to have a new board members before the next commencement convocation is slated for August 5 this year. He said a letter has been written to the Nema County Legislative Caucus, and they have told him that new board members will be appointed before August. On the issue of appointing his wife, that the working of denied ever appointing his wife as head of security for the university, but said his wife sometimes helps some works in his office. The protest had lasted for 3 days, but the protesting students have relaxed their action, and the campus of the university is being guarded by riot police of the Liberian National Police. As the fight against COVID-19 intensifies in Liberia, a non-profit organization, Eve Grace Scholastic Initiative, is expected to train over 200 young people across the country in COVID-19 awareness. Speaking in a Brush FM interview in Monrovia, the country representative of Eve Grace Scholastic Initiative, Daniel Denny, disclosed that about 200 young people from across the 15 political subdivision of Liberia will form part of the 2-day training on Zoom geared to providing them insight on COVID-19 awareness. Daniel Dennis added that the 2-day training will provide young Liberian volunteers the opportunity to create awareness on COVID-19 in their respective counties. He told that at the end of the training, participants will be provided materials like nose masks, hand sanitizers, gloves, among others, to enable them to carry out their awareness. At the same time, the Eve Grace Scholastic Initiative country representatives called on citizens of Liberia to go and get vaccinated. According to Daniel, there have been some myths in the community that when one gets vaccinated will live for 2 years. Something he said is false and misleading, and it's only meant to bring chaos in the country. He used the occasion to warn those in the constant habit of misleading the public on the vaccines to disease. Bond County has recorded 60 positive cases of the novel COVID-19 virus. The Bond County health officer has told the station, speaking via mobile phone from Bond County Tuesday, Dr. Jonathan Flomo said patients showing signs and symptoms of the virus are being placed on intense care with some oxygen. The Bone CHO asserted that at least 15 persons have been discharged from the treatment unit, and the county have also recorded 12 deaths since the second outbreak of the virus in the county. That the Flomo used the occasion to inform the public that the county currently has one of the fundamental treatment units in the country. He said those that are being discharged were monitored for 7 to 10 days, and that the signs and symptoms were resolved and they were tested or retested and proven negative of the virus. That the Jonathan Flomo is meanwhile calling on the public to take advantage of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine in order to protect themselves from the virus. Studies have proven that those who take the vaccine have a stronger resistance and cannot easily fall prey to the virus. The Bone County CHO spoke in an interview with Brush FM via mobile phone. Grand Bassa County Superintendent John J. Bape has condemned recent violent action that erupted as a result of a motorcyclist being stabbed to death in Buchanan City. The Grand Bassa County Superintendent's condemnation comes in the wake of recent violence that led to the stabbing of a motorcyclist by a notorious criminal unidentified as a triple two and the burning of a citizen home in the new Buchanan community. Superintendent Barber, however, discouraged citizens' involvement in mob violence in Grand Bassa, thus encouraging Liberians to take advantage of the rule of law in seeking redress. Meanwhile, the Bassa superintendent is calling on the Liberian National Police to arrest all those involved with a call to citizens to aid the police by identifying alleged perpetrators of the crime. Superintendent Barber further stated that the act of violence would discourage investors and as well undermine the peace and stability of the country, thus encouraging his countrymen to do everything possible to discourage such acts. He exerted as a press conference held at his office in Buchanan recently. Former Bomi County Senator Sano Johnson is calling on citizens of the county to join the fight against COVID-19. Bomi County former Senator Sano Johnson is appealing to every citizen of Bomi County and those living in the diaspora to join the fight against COVID-19 by creating public awareness and financially contributing to the county's health team. Speaking on the Spoon Top Money's edition in Monrovia, the former Bomi County Senator added that the fight against COVID-19 requires a holistic approach, thereby encouraging citizens of Bomi County living in the diaspora to join the process. In lauded the efforts of Puma FN and Radio Bomi for the constant awareness being carried out in educating the citizens of Bomi County. At the same time, former Senator Sandro Johnson has commended Senator Edwin Melvin Snow for contributing immensely to the county's health team in combating the hemokiller disease. It can be recalled Senator Edwin Melvin Snow publicly announced making available his June salary and benefits to the Bomi County leadership to help combat the virus. The executive director for the Center for Street Children Education at called on humanitarian organizations and goodwill individuals to help as his organization fight for parentless children. Founded in 2018, the CSCE has been in the vanguard of taking children whose parents died from Ebola from the street, as well as providing education and some form of livelihoods for them. In an interview with reporters recently, Mr. Calvin Passaway said if the other humanitarian organizations come to the aid of his organization, they would take more street children from the street and provide a better living condition for them. The organization is currently operating in 3 counties in Liberia, including Kitmon, Bomi, and Gbapodo. Mr. Passaway said the organization currently has more than 250 kids and in providing education for them. Meanwhile, Mr. Passaway said funding for the organization is being generated from salaries and goodwill individuals. The CSCE executive or chief executive said the organization will funding from one of his friends in the US will begin creating awareness on the deadly COVID-19 sometime this month. He spoke in an interview with this station recently. As a means of curtailing the new strand of COVID-19 in Liberia, Monrovia City Mayor Jefferson Tamakoji is encouraging Liberians to keep wearing nose masks in order to be safe. Speaking to newsmen at the Omeka community, Mayor Koji indicated that the government of Liberia is sensitizing citizens to be aware of the danger of the virus. The city mayor further stressed that the new strand of COVID is a war that Liberians need to cooperate in fighting from the country. The CDC UN chair, however, cautioned citizens to follow her protocol, adding that government cannot fight the deadly virus alone. The Monrovia City Mayor is calling on media practitioners to help with proper information in disseminating the fight against the new strand of the virus. He spoke during a visit to the Omeka community in Pineville, Liberia. As the call for the establishment of world and economic code intensified in the country, a human rights advocate, Adama Dempster, has called on the international community to speed delay help set up the code. In an interview with this station, the Secretary General of the Save a Society and Advocacy Platform says the only way total peace can come to Liberia is when those who commit hideous crimes are brought to book to pay for their actions. He said it was now time to end the culture of impunity in the country. Mr. Dempster said it was unthinkable for those who allegedly committed hideous crime to be in leadership in our country with not showing sign of remorse for their action. He asked those opposing the establishment of the codes in the country to rethink, as no post-war nation has ever had total peace and genuine reconciliation in the absence of justice. The African Traditional Justice Campaign has called on the Liberians to fully support the establishment of the codes in the country. Mr. Adama Dempster spoke in an interview with the station recently. And finally, on the national scene, President George Manawia has with immediate effect dismissed Bishop John Allen Clay as Liberia Port Authority Managing Director. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, has dismissed with immediate effect the Managing Director of the Liberia Airport Authority, Bishop John Allen Clay. Bishop Clay was relieved of his post early Tuesday, July 6, 2021, for administrative reasons. The Deputy Managing Director for Administration, Martin Hayes, will act as Managing Director of the LAA pending the appointment of the entity's new boss. And that's it for the news bulletin. It's back to you, James, for continuation of the news program.
Well, Jeremiah Marba and the news bulletin. Let's begin lifting our top stories. Controversial Nima County Senator Prince Johnson has resigned his post as chairman of the Senate's Security and Defense Committee following mixed reactions since he ascended to that leadership committee. Our colleague Jeremy Waters had the rest of this development.
Nima County Senator Prince Y. Johnson has resigned his post as chairman of the Liberian Senate Security and Defense Committee following controversies of his election as chairman of the Senate Defense Committee. Ex-warlord Prince Johnson resigned his post late Tuesday, citing that his decision was prompted by his intent to focus on his re-election in 2023 and the United States Embassy refusal to cooperate with the committee. However, records show that the U.S. Embassy near Monrovia stressed out disappointment regarding the senator's election and emphasized that they could not comply with the Senate committee as long as Senator Johnson remains the head. Upon his resignation, current Lofa County Senator Steve Zago of Liberty Party was replaced as the new Senate Committee Chair on Security, while Senator Johnson has been given another appointment to serve as a member on Ways, Means, Finance, and Budget Committee at the level of the Liberian Senate. Brush FM News, I'm Jeremy as well.
Bond County has recorded 60 positive cases of the novel coronavirus, the county health officer has told the station. And speaking via mobile phone from Bond County Tuesday, Dr. Jonathan Flomo said patients showing signs and symptoms of the virus have been placed on intense care with some on oxygen. The Bond CHO asserted that at least 15 persons have been discharged from the treatment unit, and the county have also recorded 12 deaths since the second outbreak of the virus in the county. Dr. Flomo spoke over our reporter via telephone.
We have had a functional corona treatment unit where our case management team have been working so hard. Since the outbreak, we have had about 31 inpatients, and of those numbers, we initially discharged the first 18 patients who were confirmed of COVID-19 and been treated. There were a few of them on oxygen, and we managed to get them through. So they were discharged already, and today there are 5 persons pending their second test results so that they can also be discharged. So these are people that have been monitored. So we monitor their signs and symptoms to see whether they have been resolved, and within 7 to 10 days, we redo the test based on the signs and symptoms that they presented with. So all of those people have gone within the period of 7 to 10 days, and their symptoms have resolved, so they were retested. We have recorded 60 confirmed cases of COVID-19, and we have been working with our laboratory team. So initially what we have done was to do rapid testing for those who were contact, those who were presenting with signs and symptoms, so that we can have them on our own watch while we're waiting the results. So most of those who came positive were people who are already on our watch, because we tend to break this transmission through early detection of the disease, and those who are positive and showing signs and symptoms, we can isolate them from the rest of the population, feed them so that they can be discharged. These ideas are just something to do to break the transmission or the rest of it. So for the treatment unit, we have had 3 deaths occurring in the treatment unit, and we have had 8 deaths occurring outside of the treatment unit. And although 8 deaths, there have been 4 of them confirmed by PCR that they were positive case of COVID-19, and the rest of them, they were tested in.
Well, Dr. Jonathan Flomo is Bond County's health officer. Grand Bassa County Superintendent Janji Bagbe condemns recent violence action that erupted as a result of a motorcyclist being starved to death in Buchanan City. The Grand Bassa County Superintendent condemnation comes in the wake of recent violence that led to the starving of a motorcyclist by a notorious criminal only identified as Trooper 2 and the burning of a citizen home in the New Buchanan community. Superintendent Bagbe, however, discouraged citizens' involvement in mob violence, and Grand Bassa thus encouraging Liberians to take advantage of the rule of law in seeking redress. He addressed a press conference following the incident.
I call you this morning, firstly, to condemn the mob actions and the preceding violent actions on yesterday in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. We want to condemn the stabbing of a motorcyclist by a man to be identified as Tripod, who allegedly stabbed a motorcyclist. We regret that situation as a county, and we will not condone any act of violence in this country. We also want to call on the Liberian National Police, the Joint Security Forces, in making sure that they arrest a man to be identified as Tripod 2, prosecuted to the court of competent jurisdiction. We don't want this act to keep being in the corridor of our country as we encourage investors to come invest in this country to find job our people. We also want to call on the Liberian National Police to invite and arrest all motorcyclists that were on the scene for the burning down of a citizen home in the Buchanan community. These acts of violence undermine the peace and stability of the country at large, and we need to do everything possible to discourage these things from happening in the community or in our country. We as citizens should be on our obligation to report any of these things to state security forces or to county leadership in making sure that we mitigate this problem. The burning down of the citizen home because somebody was stabbed is not a way of getting justice. Anyone who is caught in more violence in this country will be penalized by the court of competent jurisdiction. Prosecutors will be taken to court and.
Well, that's the voice of Grand Bassa County Superintendent Janji Bagbe there condemning recent violence action that erupted as a result of a motorcyclist being starved to death in Buchanan City. Former Bowman County Senator Sandro Johnson is calling on citizens of the county to join the fight against COVID-19. And speaking of the Spoon Talk Mondays edition, Monroeville, the former Bombing County Senator added that the fight against COVID-19 can only be successful if everyone, including citizens of Bombing County, who are living in the diaspora, join the process. Senator Samuel Johnson appealed to every citizen of Bombing and those living in the diaspora to join the fight against COVID-19 by creating public awareness and financially contributing to the county's health team.
And so all of those things were put into consideration individually. As human leaders, current, past, we have to go from time to time now and start to educate our people. Once that education is provided to them, wash your hands, wear your masks, avoid public gathering, avoid the shake of hand. Not that too many persons come in. You need to, that information need to be disseminated to them, both electronic and print and in the
At the same time, former Senator Samuel Johnson has commended Senator Erin Melvin Snow for contributing immensely to the county's health team in fighting the hemorrhagic disease.
I didn't know where Snow was or Senator Snow was, so I placed a call because we talk. So I, constant conversation. So this day I was calling him, and then when he answered my call, he said, "Oh, I'm in Banjul, Abidjan, going to Banjul." And my words to him, I said, "Look, let's take this coronavirus today urgently."
The voice of former Bombing County Senator Samuel Johnson there. I've been appreciating the efforts of Bombing County Senator Erin Melvin Snow and contributing immensely to the county's health team in the fight against the deadly coronavirus. If you just join us, you are indeed listening to Newswatch on the Brush Communication Network, Brush FM 94.7 MHz. 45 minutes of accurate, balanced, and concise news forming about Liberia, Africa, and as well. Stories topping Newswatch this morning. President George Baniwea dismisses Managing Director of the Liberia Airport Authority. Grand Bassa County Superintendent Tanje Bakwe condemns recent violent action that erupted as a result of a motorcyclist being stabbed to death in Buchanan City amid growing tension. Bon County Health Team reports 60 cases of COVID-19, with at least 15 recoveries, and thousands of opposition protesters are rallying the capital Accra demanding justice for victims of recent killings. By this junction, we take a break to be right back with our foreign news.
Mozambique's Deputy Health Minister Lydia Cardozo has said vaccines have arrived in the country at an opportune moment as the country is experiencing its third COVID wave. Dr. Cardozo received 158,000 doses in two different ceremonies at the main airport. Of the doses, 50,000 were donated by Portugal and 108,000 others by France. All the doses are AstraZeneca vaccines. Coronavirus cases in the country are on the rise. Coronavirus cases in the country are on the rise. Mozambique registered 26 deaths in the first 4 days of July. The ministry is urging the public to follow guidelines put in place to reduce the spread of the virus. A fire broke out on Monday night in a storehouse in the church of the late influential Nigerian preacher T.B. Joshua in Lagos. The fire incident occurred during a candlelight procession that was being held in tribute to the influential evangelist who died last month at 57. Worshippers who were gathered in the synagogue church for the service that was being led by T.B. Joshua's widow, Evelyn Joshua, scrambled for safety. The church attributed the fire to a minor electrical fault. It said the fire had been put out and there were
no casualties. TB Joshua will be buried at the church premises on Friday. A former police captain who promises to be tough on crime has been declared a winner of the prize or the race to pick a Democratic candidate to be New York's next mayor. Eric Adams, currently borough president of Brooklyn, is now likely to become the city's second black leader. The winner of the party primaries, all but certain to become mayor in the heavily Democratic city. Police figures last month show crime in the city rose by 22% in the past 12 months, and shootings were up to 73%. The Republican candidate in November's general election will be Curtis Slawey, founder of the Guardian Angels, an unarmed civilian patrol group known for their red berets. Mr. Adams, 60, is a moderate Democrat who denounced the defund the police movement during the campaign. On the stem, he sought to create a fine line between promising to refund the New York Police Department and keeping New Yorkers safe from crime. He was declared a winner on Tuesday evening by the Associated Press, a news agency that tracks vote counts in U.S. national, state, and local elections. Thousands of opposition protesters have rallied in Ghana's capital, Accra, demanding justice for victims of recent killings. It follows the murder of social media activist Ibrahim Mohammed by unknown assailants and the death of two protesters after a clash with security personnel. The BBC's Ghana correspondent Thomas Nda reports. Clad in red and black outfits, the demonstrators, many of whom were members of the largest opposition National Democratic Congress Party, accused the government of failing to act. Since this government came in office, there have been instances of arbitrary killings in our country, most of them perpetrated by the ruling government. Vigilant forces, one protester told the BBC. President Nana Akufo-Addo has ordered a public inquiry into the death of the two protesters, but the concern has been that recommendations of inquiries into similar circumstances have not been fully implemented, the correspondent says. Well, that's it from the Foreign News Desk on Newswatch on Brush FM. It's back to you, James, for continuation of the program.
Well, congratulations to colleague Robin Dolo for the foreign news. Well, this Joshua, let's begin taking our features as we cross over immediately for the Parsha of Life.
Of course, in our sporting development, the Liberia Football Association has appointed Tafa Mane as men's under 20 head coach. Mane, who coaches Leicester FC on the Orange First Division League, will be unveiled at a news conference at the Anthony Tottenham Stadium at 10 a.m. this morning. The Gambian will sign a 2-year deal. Italy beat Spain on penalties to reach the Euro 2020 final after an intriguing semi-final at a noisy Wembley. After Alvaro Morata's penalty was saved, Jorginho strolled up to score and set up a final with either England or Denmark in London on Sunday. Federico Chiesa looked as if he had sent Italy, who are unbeaten 33 games, to the final in normal time with a delightful curved finish to cap off a quick counter. But Morata stepped off the bench to slow an equalizer with 10 minutes to go after 1-2 with Dylan Omo. However, the Juventus forwards penalty missed in a shootout-proof Coste as Spain lost the semi-final for the first time in their history. Fears about an empty stadium and quiet crowd proved unfounded despite tickets still being on sale during the day and with fans unable to fly from other country, however having to quarantine for too long to watch the game. Roberto Mancini's Italy said they have been the best team in the tournament and have won their previous 13 games and deserve their place in the final. And Gary Southgate has challenged his England players to make history by beating Denmark to reach the European Championship for the first time. England one win away from the first major tournament final since 1966 after reaching the semi-finals of Euro 2020. The last time England reached a major tournament final was when they lifted the World Cup 55 years ago. They have never got further than the semi-final stage in a European competition. However, there is mounting excitement and hope has turned to expectation that the Gareth Southgate side can finally triumph Well, that's it from the sporting desk.
Congratulations to Ruben Dodo for bringing us the passion of live sports on News Watch. Well, let's go for our final development. The sixth graduating class of the Nima County Community College in Triple C has besieged the main campus of the college in San Quentin for what it calls the alleged failure of the university's administration to address several key demands by them. According to our rural broadcast chief, graduating class had headed on put forth several key demands, but the administration headed by its president, Dr. Edward Lama Walker, has failed to address those demands. Among them are the reduction of fees from US 125 to US $76, reduction in the exchange rate of the university, the appointment of new board members, and increment in janitors and security salaries. The student said Dr. Walker has appointed his wife as the head of security of the university. Our colleague Augustine Dan Fedosing.
Has been a scene of intense protest by students of the graduating class with the name Cozy, in the manner vernacular which means our time. The students' protest action was triggered by the alleged failure of the administration of the college to address some of the needs it suffers in recent times. For example, the students have been demanding reductions in the fee the semester from US $125 to $76. Remember, the American Community College was one of the community colleges established by the current meeting of the fire headed by Dr. Cedric Nokia. So they are demanding the administration to review on the new country review purpose, to also review on the president of the board as well as president of the George Manor. We have to ensure that new board members are appointed and some of members of the board of trustees. And then the protective students will go further to accuse the president of the college, Dr. Edward Lama of nepotism. According to the students, the leader has appointed his wife as head of the security department, and this is something that is all their against it, and they want the president to with immediate effect withdraw the appointment of his wife as head of the security department. Yesterday was the thread of the student protest, and on the 2 of the student protest, the president of the college made a press conference to respond to allegations by the students. And in his response, the students were allegedly protesting after the university structure. The Nima Community College, the any other institution, has rules and regulations and governance. So if the students want to protest, or whatever the students want to do, it should be in compliance with the university structure. You see, the students action also as a clever attempt to impose their will on the administration.
Well, that's the voice of PM Rural Director for Operations, Augustine down there, filling us in with that development from Lima County. Well, with that story, that's how we come to the end of News Watch. News Watch returns at 8 p.m. with more captivating stories. Before we go, let's recap today's top stories. President George Barney Weah dismisses Managing Director of the Liberia Airport Authority. Grand Bassa County Secretary Janji Bagway condemns recent violent action that erupted as a result of a motorcyclist being starved to death in Buchanan City amid growing tension. Bond County FTM reports 60 cases of COVID-19 with at least 15 recoveries. And thousands of opposition protesters have rallied in the capital Accra, demanding justice for victims of recent killings. Thanks for listening. Jeremiah Mova read our news bulletin. Robin Dodo presented our foreign news and the Passion of Last Post. I'm James Yegerson Fokwa at Anchored. Good morning.